What's up, people of YouTube? My name is General Prime and welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification icon for more videos. We have all heard, and at some point in our internet-centered lives, seen stories about ancient civilizations that apparently were more advanced and intelligent than we currently are. And those claims seem to have some level of proof, from yet to be found lost cities like Atlantis to unexplained archaeological excavations like the Antikythera mechanism and the Nazca lines, to mind-boggling sculptures and inlets like the Stonehenge and the fascinating Longyou caves, and even gravity-defying monuments like the Hanging Pillars of India and magnificent colossal structures like the Great Pyramids of Egypt, all hinting at the existence of an unknown civilization so advanced that we modern humans are yet to fathom how these structures were built and how their builders disappeared. These findings spark various controversies that in turn fiddle with our imaginations enough to spawn stories and conspiracies that end up getting believed by whomever is interested enough to pay attention. Some people come up with theories about how some of these civilizations were either influenced by otherworldly entities like aliens or were straight up built by them. I find it ridiculously funny that white folks especially tend to think and spread the misinformation that because most of these civilizations have been found to be in locations that are not particularly Caucasian, they couldn't have been built by the indigenes from other races, but rather aliens. These structures, as mysterious as they are undeniably captivating, and though we may never know the intentions of their builders, we can at least come up with theories that are grounded in reality based on what we know about ourselves and our world. Modern humans are at least 150,000 years old, and as you all know, we have evolved to have intellect in the context of our human understanding as one of our greatest tools for survival. So it's only logical to then deduce that since it's worked so well for us over the years, there's a lot more it can do for us than just being skilled at hunting and gathering or running from predators. And so with our intellect, we have become so creative that we have turned our planet into a means to an end. We have made it our blueprint to create whatever we want with its resources, and sometimes it's a good thing, and I shouldn't tell you how other times it can be unspeakably bad. Now, with our intellectual capacity to be creative, wouldn't it be safe to assume that most of these mysterious artifacts were either incomplete prototypes of essential tools created by unknown geniuses that would have been important to their culture at the time? Kind of like how Da Vinci made sketches of what or how he thought a flying machine should work, or things made purely to scratch the itch of creativity, just as there are a lot of artwork, mechanisms and inventions we have today, not because they have any particular or distinctive purpose, but because we like the idea that they can potentially carry, and also we are capable of creating them just for the fun of it. One thing we have to come to terms with is that just because we are unable to relate to or understand what these alien, foreign-looking old things are, doesn't mean that at some point in time, they weren't important to people or persons from that particular point in time. Also, there are two reasons I think we find these artifacts of antiquity odd. One is that we tend to think that we modern humans are the most intelligent or creative that we have ever been, and that no other race from the past could have possibly accomplished whatever it is that they did without the help of technology we assume must have been too advanced for their time. And secondly, we tend to think that because most of these artifacts were found in places we consider weird or spooky, like in caves, underwater or dilapidated temples, that their creators must have had some equally spooky and weird intention for creating them. But thankfully, I tend to discard notions like that as mere conspiracies. Our guesses as to what these findings are can only be as good as that of the 6 blind mice and the elephant. But lately, I've been thinking, just as some of these civilizations have been lost to obscurity without leaving much of any traces as to where they are and how they must have gone, aside from the mostly cryptic and indecipherable artifacts and buildings we have today, what if, based on how nonchalantly we take our planet and how readily destructive we are to ourselves, that in a hopefully distant future, we end up being the lost civilization that some new species of either apes or octopi get to study? I mean, think of it. Our achievements as a species, despite how imperfect and how most times selfish and ulteriorly our motives are, in juxtaposition with the natural harmony of our planet, we can't deny that we haven't made quite a significant amount of progress so far. Also, we are not the only intelligent life form on this planet, regardless of how unique and special we think we are. Evolution, like the name implies, is a continuous, howbeit sluggishly gradual process, leading an organism to its most optimized adaptation of its environment. And so it's only logical to assume that there's a possibility that there could be other species following our evolutionary footsteps through the paths of intelligence and sentience like us humans. Animals like chimps, ravens and octopi have been observed to be able to use complex tools to solve complex problems, so the possibility of what they are potentially able to achieve 200,000 years from now is excitedly endless. So if in a hopefully hypothetical situation, it turns out that in about 500 millennia, we humans have been extinct either by our own hands or some form of virus, and the entirety of our existence engulfed and reclaimed by nature and is now the spectacle of another civilization, What artifacts or invention do we have today that will be mind-bogglingly mesmerizing to them, even though they would be more advanced than us? Honestly, it's difficult to think of something tangible or mechanical that we have today that would baffle folks from the future, mainly because, first of all, I think that a present-day invention, be it a piece of engineering or art, might not be met with intrigue or awe by our distant inspectors, but with investigative ridicule, puzzling scrutiny, and jests as to how inefficient, complex, or downright impractical our system of things currently are. For example, I wonder what they would think of our primitive and unnecessary war machines. However, some examples of intangible ideas prone to criticism by future civilizations that come to mind are our uneven dispersion of wealth and opportunity in our society, our inconvenient and ridiculously complex architectural disposition, products with planned obsolescence in mind, our societal obsession with plastic, our outdated educational institutions, our incompetent system of government, our poor production and management of energy, and believe it or not, pineapple on pizza. Secondly, modern humans, us, have perfected our art of information and data preservation. There are more books than there will ever be humans, and every bicycle, toy, glass door, and Amazon delivery comes with a description manual that shows either how they work or how they were produced. We have globally recognizable icons that tell and point out what things are, and even though this future civilization might not be able to completely decipher our vast collection of languages, I think that icons and drawings can point them in the right direction as to who we were and how we lived. One very great example as to how icons and images have been used to relay information about ourselves to potentially another civilization was information packaged in the Voyager 1 called the Golden Record, containing a myriad of info including 115 images of humans, animals and landscapes, and audio sounds of greetings in 55 different ancient and modern languages, alongside sounds of other aspects of life on our planet, and most importantly, detailed inscription on the record like an instruction manual about how it's supposed to function and ways to know that it is. Finally, I honestly think that there are some things we have built today that would actually astonish any observer from the future. Maybe because they might not be able to relate to them like we do, or maybe they might be intrigued by how little time it took us to accomplish whatever it is. But whatever the situation may be, the possibilities are quite literally endless, and I can only imagine what stories they would formulate about us based on whatever it is they unearthed in their time. I would also like to know what you all think. Is there any technology we have today that I think will intrigue another civilization? Let me know in the comments. Again, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, because that helps me out a bunch. Leave a like if you found the video interesting, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.